But he's hung his rook. He's hung his rook. Oh my god.
My God!
His rook, Andrei Yesipenko, in an endgame where he was pressing, he blundered his rook, and Wei Yi makes it through to the finals.
Welcome to week 7 of the Chess News podcast, where I discuss the FIDE World Cup, the Speed Chess Championship quarterfinals, and the Women's World Team Championship controversy. We have reached the final stage of the FIDE World Cup held in Goa, India. The Chinese Grandmaster Wei Yi and the Uzbek Grandmaster Yafogir Sindarov are now playing the final and have already qualified for the 2026 FIDE Candidates Tournament by reaching that final. The match for third place, which will also decide on the third candidate spot, is played between Andrei Yesipenko from Russia and Nodirbek Yokoboyev from Uzbekistan. This event is only the third instance where a World Cup had only one top 10 seeded player making it to the semifinals, after 2013 and 2015. In both years, the final was played between two Russians. Vladimir Kramnik defeated Dmitry Andreikin to win the 2013 World Cup, and 2 years later, Sergei Karyakin defeated Peter Svitler to win the 2015 World Cup. This year, there is no Russian in the final, and if Yesipenko doesn't beat Yakoboyev, we will see the first candidates tournament in history without a participant from Russia or the Soviet Union. The first player to make it to the semifinals was Yakoboyev, who won his first classical game against Alexander Donchenko from Germany in the quarterfinals and then held the second game to a draw. In doing so, Yakoboyev also broke the 2700 rating barrier.
He offers a draw, and with that draw, Nodirbek Yakoboyev makes his move ever closer to the candidates as he gets through to the semi-finals.
In his second classical game, top seed Arjun Erigaisi missed a win against Wei Yi, and it would prove to be rather costly. It was the Chinese GM who dominated in both rapid tiebreak games, missing a win as white and then outplaying Arjun as black.
And there we go. The handshake. Arjun Erigaisi goes out. Wei Yi moves on.
What an incredible match this has been. Arjun had chances in the classical portion. Had he found the tactical pattern in yesterday's game, he will be definitely having a rough time after that, the missed chance. And today, in the tiebreaks, it was Wei Yi who was dominating in both games.
Just like in 2021, Sam Shankland left the World Cup after the quarterfinals. He lost to Yesipenko in the tiebreaks as the Russian Grandmaster won both 10+10 games.
Sam Shankland resigns. What a heartbreak for the American Grandmaster, and celebration, of course, for the fans of Andrei Yesipenko, who qualifies to the semifinals.
Jose Martinez, originally from Peru but now representing Mexico, has been perhaps the biggest surprise of this World Cup. He also left the tournament after the quarterfinals as he lost the second 10+10 game to Sindarov.
Oh, resignation. This is it. Unfortunately for Jospem, for Jose Martinez, this is the end of his World Cup dreams. And for Javokir Sindarov, he is through to the semifinals.
Both World Cup semifinals were decided in the tiebreak, with Wei Yi versus Yesipenko being the most dramatic. The Russian player had his Chinese opponent on the ropes, but in a winning endgame position, he collapsed, making one mistake and then an even bigger one, which blundered material.
The rook was attacked and was never moved.
Night moves. They trick even the best players in the world. What a crazy moment. I think Yesipenko was looking at Wei Yi's clock. Wei Yi played 2-3 moves in a row with 1 second left. He knew he was winning. He knew he was 2 pawns up. And he just took his eye off the ball, or he forgot, or he panicked, whatever it was. That is one of the most costly blunders he'll ever make.
Modest and humble as always, Wei Yi emphasized he had been fortunate and blamed the long and tiring tournament for his opponent's blunder.
Yes, I was just so lucky because in the final position only black can fight for the win, but he blundered his rook. Maybe because there's a long tournament and many games, so that's why he made the blunder. I was just so lucky. Yeah.
Wei Yi has been a household name in chess, and so it's easy to forget that he's still only 26 years old. 5 years younger than Anish Giri, 7 years younger than Fabiana Caruana, and 11 years younger than Hikaru Nakamura, 3 of his rivals at the FIDE candidates. As Leonard Barden wrote in The Guardian, he was once a prodigy, renowned for his brilliant attacking style and the youngest to surpass an elite 2700 rating. but then opted to take a 6-year break from chess to study economics and management, which he says he does not regret. Wei Yi's opponent in the final, Sindarov, made a name for himself after doing pretty well in the freestyle chess Grand Slam in Weissenhaus back in February, where he eliminated Nakamura in the quarterfinals and only lost to Caruana after a 7.5-hour battle that ended with Armageddon. 9 months later, Sindarov is having some kind of a breakthrough in regular chess as he reaches the World Cup final at just 19 years old. This makes him the second youngest player ever to reach a FIDE World Cup final after Praggnanandhaa Rameshbabu did the same at age 18 2 years ago. We should also not forget that Ruslan Ponomaryov from Ukraine won a very similar tournament when he was just 18 as well, when he won the 2002 FIDE World Championship when it was also a knockout. Sindarov defeated his competitor Yakuboyev in the first tiebreak game with the black pieces.
He's ready to beat his friend, and there we go, handshake. Naroditsky Yakubov resigns. Painful game, losing with white. Now he's in a must-win situation. Sindarov one step away from the candidates now.
Sindarov then held the second game to a draw, thus qualifying for the candidates as well, together with Wei Yi.
It's confirmed Javokir Sindarov is through to the finals of the World Cup.
As this podcast was uploaded a bit later than usual, the latest news is that Wei Yi and Sindarov started their final with a draw, while Yesipenko managed to beat Yakuboyev in the first classical game, so the Uzbek Grandmaster must win on demand on Tuesday. This week saw 3 more quarterfinal matches of the Chess.com Speed Chess Championship. First, Hikaru Nakamura booked his ticket for the semifinals in London after a nail-biting match against Wesley So that went down the wire, as Colin McGorty wrote for Chess.com. Nakamura built up 4 and 3-point leads, but So twice hit back with 3-game winning streaks and did what few can boast of, beat Nakamura in the bullet segment. In the end, a brilliant win in the penultimate game and a great escape in the last saw Nakamura clinch victory.
It was so close. He was one move away earlier, from just one accurate move away, but a smile from both players. Fist pump from Hikaru. We reach move 100. Oh, poor Wesley, so close, but Hikaru clutched up so impressively, and it is a draw.
Next, it was Alireza Firouzja who won his quarterfinal match against Nepomniachtchi. The score was 19-9, and the Frenchman is now going to be Nakamura's opponent in the semifinals.
I think it was a close match. In the beginning, I won the first game and we made some draws. And then I think after I got few good openings and I found what to play with black, and that helped me a lot.
It looked like we were going to have the exact same 4 semifinalists as last year, but no. Dennis Lazavik was the last to book his spot for London after defeating Hans Niemann 15.5, 9.5 on Friday. Lazavik, who will face none other than Magnus Carlsen in the semifinals, won 11 games and lost only 5 against Niemann.
This was really a breakthrough moment for Dennis. He had a typical SCC run. This was his toughest test so far. He passed with just the utmost flying colors, like they are in the sky. And now we'll see what the potential is. And the next matchup will be in 3 months' time. He might play Magnus in the World Rapid Blitz, Danny. But today he should celebrate, however he's going to.
Then on to the Women's World Team Championship. It was also underway this week in Linares, Spain. The small city in Jaén, Andalusia, is famous in the chess world for hosting a super tournament between 1978 and 2010. Local politicians continue to support chess to keep up at least part of the tradition, and in the past 15 years we have seen several national championships and team championships held in Linares. The Women's World Team Championship, by the way held at the fast classic time control of 45 plus 30, as part of FIDE testing this rate of play, was controversial for the participation of a Team FIDE, a team consisting entirely of Russian players competing under the FIDE flag. It was the first time since March 2022, following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine that year, that a Russian lineup had been approved to take part in an official FIDE team event, excluding junior tournaments. During the tournament's technical meeting, a day before the start, the Ukrainian delegation filed a protest, and the letter deserves to be read in full as it explained the situation pretty well. Appeal regarding the participation of the FIDE team in the FIDE World Women's Team Championship 2025. Dear Tournament Director of the FIDE World Women's Team Championship 2025 and FIDE, we hereby appeal the participation of the FIDE team composed of Russian players in the World Women's Team Championship, as such participation is in clear violation of both the International Olympic Committee IOC guidelines and the decision of the FIDE Council dated July 18. According to that decision, the participation of a FIDE or Russian team requires a letter of no objection from the IOC. No such letter of no objection has been provided to us, or, to our knowledge, to any other team. Furthermore, if FIDE has submitted a request to the IOC and no response was received, this can only be interpreted as the IOC declining to issue such approval, consistent with its recommendations prohibiting the participation of teams composed of athletes holding Russian passports in any team competitions. The FIDE Council decision of July 18 is explicit. FIDE must obtain written no objection from the IOC. The absence of a response from the IOC must therefore be understood as the absence of approval. Given these facts, the participation of the FIDE Russia team is illegal and contradicts the binding FIDE Council decision. Allowing this team to compete not only violates FIDE's own regulations, but also sends a deeply inappropriate signal that the organizers and arbiters of this event condone a team representing a state currently engaged in armed aggression against a sovereign European nation. We therefore request that the FIDE Russia team be disallowed and removed from the list of participating teams. Should this not occur, we consider that all results of this World Championship and potentially the validity of the championship itself would be compromised. We reserve all our legal rights. Signed by Mikhailo Brodsky, captain of the Ukrainian women's national team in Linares, Volodymyr Kovalchuk, head of the Ukrainian delegation, and Mikhailo Oleksienko, coach of the Ukrainian women's national team in Linares. Meanwhile, FIDE legal director Alexander Martinov has shared a letter from the IOC dated July 28, 2025, and addressed to FIDE president Arkady Dvorkovich. A key phrase in this letter was the following: "Since this decision would not impact the Olympic Games, should FIDE decide to approve the admission of women teams of neutral athletes in relation to the World Women's Team Championship, the IOC would not take a position on this." FIDE interpreted this as green light for allowing a Russian team under the FIDE flag, while the Ukrainian delegation maintained the opposite, that the absence of a direct affirmative approval constituted a lack of approval, which would make FIDE in breach of its own rule. Team FIDE ended up winning the world title with an undefeated run, ahead of Azerbaijan and China. Critics are trying to make the point that the victory is once again being used in Russia for internal propaganda. Why, you may ask, so much attention in this podcast to the so-called politics and so little to the results? Well, just try to hold the image of Grandmaster Natalia Zhukova after playing in Spain, having to return to her home in Odessa while residential buildings there were being hit by Russian Shahed drones, and the Russian participants being welcomed back and celebrated by the same people that are supporting the launch of those drones. For what? Why? In other news, the fields for the World Rapid Blitz was announced. Taking place in Doha, Qatar from December 25 to 30, the FIDE World Rapid Blitz Chess Championship has a prize fund of over €1 million spread across both the open and the women's competitions. Doha last hosted the championship in 2016. And I'm quoting the press release: World champion Gugesh Domaraju and Magnus Carlsen join over 360 players who have confirmed their participation in the FIDE World Rapid Blitz Chess Championship in Doha. The event, which will take place from December 25 to 30, brings together a field featuring multiple world champions, most of the sport's highest rated competitors, and rising stars. A total of 233 players registered for the Blitz Open and 230 for the Rapid. After missing out on the crown in the Rapid and sharing gold in the Blitz in the previous edition in New York, Magnus Carlsen, who this year became a father, returns to the FIDE World Rapid Blitz. He will try to unseat the 2024 World Rapid Champion Volodar Mursin, who has had strong tournament performances throughout the year. World Champion Gugesh D has also confirmed his attendance. Many seasoned elite players such as 2024 World Blitz co-champion Jan Nepomniachtchi, but also Fabiana Caruana, Anish Giri, Wesley So and Levan Aronian have confirmed their participation. Challenging them will be a new generation of contenders seeking to disrupt established hierarchies, including Vincent Keimer, Arjun Erigaisi, Nodirbek Abdusaturov, Pragnananda Ramesh Babu, Yagis Khan Erdogmus, and Edis Gurel, to name just a few. The FIDE Women's Rapid Blitz will also see the best in the world taking part. Headlined by women's world champion Yu Wenyun, the competition will see 130 players, including heavyweights Zhu Yiner, Lei Tingjie, Alexandra Goryachkina, Humphrey Koneru, and more. Anna Muzichuk, who won both the Women's Rapid and Blitz in Doha in 2016, will also be there, together with her sister Maria. Another event announced its lineup. I'm talking about the Tata Steel Chess Tournament in January in Wijk aan Zee, It had already announced the Masters tournament participants, and now the names of the challengers are also known, and I will name them now. Erin Lamy from the Netherlands, Aydin Suleimanli from Azerbaijan, Velimir Ivic from Serbia, Daniil Juva from Spain, Vasil Ivanchuk from Ukraine, Marc-Andrea Maurizi from France, Andy Woodward from the USA, Max Warmerdam from the Netherlands, Bibisaga Asalbayeva from Kazakhstan, Faustino Oro from Argentina, Carissa Yip from the USA, Lu Miaoji from China, Panesar Vedant from India, and Elina Rubers from the Netherlands. As a reminder, the names in the Masters were Ayun Erigaisi, Praganananda, Giri, Keimer, Gukesh, Abdusatorov, Niemann, Sindarov, Fedoseev, Aravind, Van Verreest, Blubaum, Van Nguyen, and Erdogmus. On a final note, the Charlotte Chess Center, the Charlotte Chess Center Foundation, along with Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky's family, have launched the Naroditsky Memorial and Fellowship Fund to honor the memory and legacy of the Grandmaster. It consists of the following: the Naroditsky Memorial Blitz and Rapid, an annual over-the-board tournament held in Charlotte, North Carolina, an event that aims to attract the world's top players, including those ranked in the global top 10, and will also welcome hundreds of amateur participants. And then there is the Naroditsky Fellowship, a scholarship program supporting talented young chess players pursuing excellence at the highest level. I have placed a link in the show notes where you can donate and support this cause. That's it for this week. See you next week.